As the 1990s smashed into popular culture, it brought along with it some of the best entertainment in history. During this time, Nintendo created one of the greatest gaming consoles of all time. It was faster, more powerful, and best of all, it was super. No one could have predicted how this little box of fun would change the world of gaming and launch Nintendo into superstardom. Join us as Super Retro Video Games tells you all about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The year was 1989, and Nintendo had solidified its position as a household name due to their amazing success of the original Nintendo Entertainment System. As video games became more popular and technology increased, other companies set their sights on becoming the next big thing. The NEC Corporation released the TurboGrafx-16, and Sega released the Genesis. As consumers began to experience this next generation of gaming, it wouldn't be long before Nintendo followed suit. The Super Famicom was released first in Japan, and shortly after that, Nintendo redesigned it and released the SNES in North America. By 1991, Nintendo was back in the game, and the 16-bit console wars were about to begin. The SNES was a step above the similar consoles of the time. Although the Sega Genesis was built with a faster processor, the Super Nintendo was far more superior overall. For example, the hardware is capable of 3D simulation, which is best seen in games like Star Fox and Stunt Racer. This was all made possible by using the Super Effects chip, a cartridge modification that allowed games to render 3D polygons and advanced 2D graphics. This technology became so popular that Noah and his Ark were resurrected from the pre-flood world and thrown into 3D gaming. The video for the SNES is provided through an RF switch as well as composite and can display a whopping 32,768 colors. These amazing colors are best seen in games like Super Mario World, and Rock and Roll Racing. The audio chipset of the SNES was designed and produced by Sony, giving us some of the most impressive soundtracks in video game history. Just listen to the incredible music from games like Donkey Kong Country 2, Turtles in Time, and F-Zero. The simple design of the console itself lends to its nostalgic beauty. The SNES is equipped with 3 mechanical functions: power, reset, and eject, all of which work flawlessly even after 30 years. Like most of the consoles in that generation, the SNES was built with 2 controller ports. As far as the design of the SNES controller goes, some would argue that it laid the foundation for controllers as we know them today. With its sleek and smooth layout, the SNES controller utilized the classic 4-way directional pad, but added 4 new buttons. Interestingly, it was the first controller to introduce shoulder buttons. These shoulder buttons allowed you to aim in Super Metroid, block in Mortal Kombat, and drift in Mario Kart. The Super Nintendo game packs are some of the coolest looking cartridges in gaming. The 1990s were the golden age of this type of media, large plastic cases that displayed beautiful artwork. Worldwide, Nintendo released over 1,700 games for the SNES. They consist of a variety of genres and include what many people regard as some of the best video games ever made. The best part about the SNES is that most of these games have no problem holding up over 30 years later. Just take a look at some of our favorites. To see more of these great games, make sure you subscribe to our channel and watch our full list here. There came a time in gaming history when the graphics and style of the Super Nintendo became outdated and newly enhanced games began to saturate the market. But it's important to remember that although the games of today have improved graphically, they wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the Super Nintendo's amazing contributions. Because of this, Nintendo capitalized on their achievements. Following the success of the NES Classic Mini, Nintendo released the SNES Mini. Except for the size, everything, including the controllers, are an exact replica. This small emulation box comes with 21 games, including a newly released version of Star Fox 2. The games run and look great on the SNES Mini, and the friendly interface allows for savable game data. Sadly, Nintendo discontinued its production, but the good news is that some of the SNES library is available through Nintendo Switch Online. The 16-bit era is considered by many to be the golden age of gaming, with the Super Nintendo ruling as king. But it wouldn't be long until the Super Nintendo would be overthrown by an Ultra successor. Whether you're an old-school SNES veteran or you're new to the 16-bit generation, I highly recommend you check out what the Super Nintendo has to offer. So grab a controller and become a superstar with the Super Nintendo.